तो इस वीडियो को स्टार्ट करने से पहले आप इसे देखिए। And now take a look at this. जहाँ अगर दोनों को अलग-अलग देखा जाए तो these both look quite different. But comparing them side by side, they share a lot of common traits. जहाँ ये पहली मूवी स्कॉट पिल्गरिम वर्सेस द वर्ल्ड है तो दूसरी थालुमला। और ये दोनों सेम ही है, नॉट बाय द स्टोरी बट बाय स्ट्रक्चर, स्टाइल, टोन, एडिटिंग। यानी ये दोनों इंटरनेट स्टाइल स्टोरी टेलिंग करते हैं, जिसके बारे में डिटेल में चर्चा करेंगे। उसी के बारे में वीडियो बनाई गई है। और उससे पहले एक काफ़ी बड़ी मिसकंसेप्शन को दूर करना चाहूँगा कि movies are often celebrated for their originality, but originality doesn't just mean starting from nothing. More often than not, it's about drawing inspiration, blending influences, and reshaping them into something new. And sometimes the results are so distinct, so out of the box, that they don't just tell a story. They redefine how stories can be told, and influences can be brought up from literally anywhere. चाहे वो एसआरके की फैन मूवी हो जिसने इनक्रेडिबल से इन्फ्लुएंस उठाई है, या फिर साउथ की मत्तू वडला रही क्यों ना हो, जिन्होंने एक मामूल सीसीटीवी में चोरी किए हुए फुटेज से इन्फ्लुएंस ली है। नाउ दिस एग्जांपल हियर sets up the bar that influences can be from anywhere, rather it being from a movie, a concept, a scene, literally anywhere. It requires creativity to change concept and to present it. One of those films is Thalumala. On the surface, it's loud, chaotic, with flashy edits, but dig deeper, you will see its product of influences, a bold experiment, and a cultural shift. To understand why it worked, we first need to place it in a broader cinematic context. So, when you think of Malayalam cinema, you often come across a crystal clear image for the world filled with realism, nuanced performances, and slow burn storytelling. This is where stories are grounded in everyday life, and the camera follows them with an observational eye. The beauty lies in how ordinary moments are turned into cinematic poetry. The naturalistic acting, social commentary, and the linear storyline structure double downs on the grounded approach. Whether it's Mashinte Patikaram or Kummalagi Nights, the approach is often understated. The drama comes from writing and performances, not flashy visuals, with one major exception, Thalumala. It is the only one of the films that to ever challenge this grounded approach and use a comic book style storytelling. Now, Thalumala feels as an outlier to Malayalam industry. It's like someone turned the brightness and volume all the way up on the TV that been muted for several years. Now it feels like this because for the most of the part, Malayalam cinema is built on subtlety, quiet emotional beats, low-key production design, and narratives that unfold like a patient conversation. But Thalumala doesn't do subtle. It maximalizes in every possible way. The visuals, the pacing, the tone, every aspect of the film feels foreign. The choreographed fight scenes, the video game style editing, comic book style narration, the non-linear storytelling makes it feel so foreign within Malayalam cinema. For the uninitiated, the story follows Wazim, a young man whose life is stitched together by a series of chaotic brawls, love stories, and misunderstandings, all told out of order. Looping back like a mixtape on shuffle, every fight in the movie isn't just action, it's a turning point in his relationships, his image, and how people remember it. Beneath all the neon colors and wild edits, it's really about ego, pride, and the way small conflicts spiral into defining moments. At its core, Thalumala is a story about reputation, how far people will go to protect it, fight for it, and sometimes lose themselves in it. And that's what makes it so interesting. The film looks like a music video, moves like a video game, but deep down, it's about how humans need to be seen, respected, and to be remembered. Now, going back to the outlier feeling, most of the Malayalam films love the earthy browns, natural light, and grounded framing. But Thalumala doesn't quite match it with this approach. It paints the screen with hypersaturated colors, flashy costumes, and meticulously designed frames that scream for your attention. And talking about attention, the part that catches the attention is the pacing. Instead of steady, unbroken rhythm, which Malayalam audience are used to, Thalumala cuts and jumps like a music video. Here, scenes don't just start and end, they smash into each other. One fight bleeds into a wedding scene, a story suddenly cuts to a brawl, and before you have processed one moment, the film has already thrown into the next. The movie doesn't believe in breathing space. It jumps like a comic book and moves with the rhythm of playlist. Even its non-linear structure feeds the speed. You are not moving forward in time, you are jumping back and forth, constantly reinterpreting events, and with each return, you are thrown into middle of events and brought into the past and tossed into the future. And it's only the minute details like a costume change, a bandage on someone's face, a slight shift in the tone that help you figure out where you are in the timeline. And now to talk about the tone, the visual, the structure, and the storytelling, it somewhere matches with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Now, many of you may not have an idea about this. So, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a live-action adaptation of the same titled comic book, Scott Pilgrim, which is directed by Edgar Wright. So, on the surface, it's a quirky rom-com about an awkward 22-year-old Scott Pilgrim who falls mysteriously for Ramona Flowers. But to date her, he must defeat a seven evil exes. Each battle more absurd, stylized, and video game like than the last. But for now, both the films follow same comic style narration and game-like editing, where both the films treat the narration in form of chapters, where the fights in both these films are used as a plot points instead of wasting them by using them as a filler in between plots. Thalumala and Scott Pilgrim are essentially running on the same narrative software. Both the films reject the linear storyline and embrace the fractured, non-linear episodic style narration through a sequence of hyper stylized and thematic set pieces. But leaving the comparison aside, the question that arises is why did this movie even work? With a budget of 20 crores, it crossed 72 crores, making it one of the highest grossing Malayalam films in recent times. But why did it actually work? To answer that question, let's just take Scott Pilgrim and understand it first. So it was late 2000s and early 2010s, where the cinema was dominated by dark and gritty realisms, where Hollywood was obsessed either with prestige dramas or grounded superhero action. Into this comes Edgar Wright, trying to make a movie that literally looked like a living manga panel fused with video game boss fights. It captured millennial pop culture like video games, music, comic books, awkward romances. It was the first big studio attempt at blending internet storytelling into cinema. And the thing with Talumala was about the same, where in early 2020s, Malayalam cinema was at its realist peak. Films like Kummanalgi Nights, Joji, and Mashinte Pradikaram felt like slow, raw, minimalist, social reflective, and then there was Thalumala, which was like an explosion for Malayalam industry, where the non-linear timeline, flashy editing, fights choreographed like dance battles came out of nowhere. And that's the reason people loved it, making it one of the highest grossing Malayalam films in recent times. सो इस वीडियो को यही रोक देते हैं क्योंकि बताने के लिए बहुत कुछ है पर किसी दूसरे वीडियो में बात करेंगे तो दैट्स माय टाइम मिलते हैं अगले वीडियो में इसी जोश और इसी क्यूरियोसिटी के साथ